Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Superheroes, Movies, and Superhero Movies. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm John Pelzel.
I'm Jay Stu.
And today we're talking about Captain America, the Winter Soldier, released in 2014. Directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, written by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, and starring Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Samuel L. Jackson, and Robert Redford. This was one of 4 movies that came out in Phase 2, I guess it was. In between the Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron, we had Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, this movie, and Guardians of the Galaxy. And this was, I remember it being kind of considered Marvel's political thriller, which I thought was always kind of interesting. And it really does kind of fit that bill. What did you guys think when you saw it for the first time?
I loved it. It was definitely a edge of your seat thriller. First thing I thought about was Enemy of the State with Will Smith and Gene Hackman. It definitely had that vibe. I guess it kind of had that fugitive vibe as well with Harrison Ford. So I definitely was very, very excited to see it. I actually saw it a little bit early because I was working or helping out with a screening for it. And I got to meet Anthony and Joe Russo that day. So nice. That was a very, very nice screening. Nice experience.
That's awesome. Enemy of the State. That was a good, that's a good kind of comparison. I think that was very similar kind of feeling to those two movies, this movie and Enemy of the State.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, this one is Marvelized, but it definitely has that same feel.
I like how Marvelized is like a new word and everyone knows what it means.
Yeah.
I've actually never seen Enemy of the State.
That needs to change.
Yeah,
very good movie.
Cool.
Underrated Will Smith movie and an underrated Gene Hackman movie.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've definitely heard of it. So anyway.
Next episode, Enemy of the State.
Don't tease me. Don't tease me.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Like, it just kind of felt like a spy movie, or, just had, it wasn't, even though it was, like you said, Stu, Marvelized, and we had superheroes and stuff in it. It still felt, there were lots of punches, lots of punches and guns.
Yeah.
And it just felt more like a grounded movie than for Marvel than we had ever gotten.
I 100% agree. It definitely felt very grounded and is one of the more believable Marvel films. Like you said, it still had that superhero vibe, but it was so closer to real life that it kind of like immersed you in that world, and you could actually believe what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really, really well written movie, because they kind of give you the hints to where the story is going to lead, but there are a lot of twists and turns along the way concerning the movie's villain. Concerning the main villain, who's not the Winter Soldier. But definitely, I 100% agree with you with that.
The first thing so I was watching it today, and I had to actually finish it at my parents' house, like on my iPad, because I didn't quite get it all finished in time before we had to leave here. But my dad was asking me once I finished it. He was like, "So what's your key takeaway from the movie?" And I was like, "My key takeaway?" And then he goes, "I don't think I've ever seen The Winter Soldier." And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Well, it's really good. You should watch it." I said, "My key takeaway is," and I think I told him, I was like, "It's Marvel's political thriller. I mean, it still has all the big Marvel superhero kind of things that happen.
Mm-hmm.
The final act takes place on a helicarrier and stuff.
Yeah.
But I was like, but it's a good spy movie. It's a good spy thriller." And my dad was like, "Oh, maybe I should watch it." And I was like, "You should watch it." He's seen like all the Avengers movies and stuff, so it's just he's watching all these Marvel movies out of order, I guess. But I couldn't help but think about Black Widow And without really spoiling anything with that movie, I felt really grounded and kind of very Jason Bourne-esque, in my opinion, for most of the movie until you get to the final act when it to me it felt like somebody went, "Oh, I forgot we're making a Marvel movie," and it like got real big and kind of ridiculous. But this movie, it makes sense. Like the helicarriers are such a big part of the plot that when the helicarriers finally get launched and everything, like it makes sense that it's this big kind of Marvel set piece. Whereas I don't feel like they just did it. It's just felt like it was kind of a gimmick almost in the Black Widow movie. Whereas in this movie, it was, like I said, it was part of the plot. It kind of made sense. I never like found myself kind of rolling my eyes at a big superhero moment in this movie because it all fit so perfectly into the storyline and everything.
Yeah, I agree. Black Widow felt like it was going through the motions and just, trying to hit all the superhero beats, and it doesn't quite do that until it gets to the third act. And then, like you said, it forgets that it's a superhero movie. And it's like, oh, wait, we got to put all this Marvel stuff in here. And with Winter Soldier, it doesn't do that. Like I said before, it is really, really well written. There's really good character development with Cap and Nick Fury. And it's just the thing about it is that it has a really, really good story. You can tell this same story without all the superhero stuff. And to me, that's what makes a good superhero movie. I mean, that's what makes a good movie. At its core, you have to have a good story, and then you season it with some superhero spectacle.
Right.
And I think that this movie is one of the best when it comes to that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I have not seen this in a while. I don't remember the last time I watched it, but it's been 8 years now since it came out. We've had a lot of Marvel movies in between. I forgot how good it was. I remember thinking,
so good.
I remember thinking that it, is one of the better Marvel movies. And I know that a lot of people have this movie. You, for example, Stu, I looked at your Letterboxd Marvel list today. I think you have it as number 2. But I was going to say, for a lot of people, it's in their top 5.
I think it might be 3.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, it's in your top 5. And
in my top 5.
It's not in my top 5, but there's, I kind of felt like I needed to bump it up. I right now have it below Civil War, and I'm like, well, maybe I should rewatch Civil War because this movie might be better. I think I just like Civil War because, that's where they brought in Spider-Man, and there's a lot of characters in Civil War, and the airport scene is so fun. But
the thing about Civil War is that it's so reliant on other movies that come before it.
Right.
Winter Soldier is a fantastic story that stands on its own. So that's why I have it.
Winter Soldier is definitely a Captain America movie. Civil War is basically
Avengers 2.5.
2.5. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I totally agree, Sue. You don't have to have seen the first Avenger to enjoy this movie and understand what's going on. I think it probably, if you don't know anything about Winter Soldier, you don't know that it's Bucky, watching First Avenger and then seeing this that would kind of, be maybe a little bit more of a surprise once the reveal happens. But you don't need to have seen it. It really does stand on its own very, very well.
Yeah, you're right. I do have it at number 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You know my list better than I do.
Well, I just looked at it today, so because I was curious. I think I have it as like number 6 or 7, and so I was just curious where you had it, and I saw it was number 2. I was like, oh well. But yeah, it's really good. It's definitely one of the better Marvel movies for sure. And I love you're talking about like story is so important, and I totally agree with that. But I also think characters are really important, and Captain America and Falcon in this movie have such good chemistry together. It's so believable that they become such good friends and partners kind of throughout the film. And Scarlett Johansson, I think, does a really great job as Black Widow, and with Captain when they're kind of on the run from Shield/Hydra. Like it really, really works.
Yeah, I agree, because they kind of established their relationship, their friendship from the jump. Like right when the movie starts, you see them running together.
On your left. Yeah,
on your left. And even though you don't see Falcon for a while, that you can still kind of feel that sense of camaraderie between them. So
Yeah, for sure. The movie starts off after that scene, which I love the way that movie opens up with them just jogging and introducing themselves to each other and everything. But then we go right into our first kind of action scene with the ship and Bartok who has hijacked the shield ship and stuff. And one of the notes I wrote was, I like how Captain America knocks people out. Black Widow just murders them. she's just shooting guns and killing guys and
I made the comment to one of my kids. I was like, she's just killing people.
she does. She just kills people.
That's what she does.
That's what she does.
She's the Black Widow. I
was like, wow, this is like, okay. But it also reminded me, I don't know, Stu, I'm pretty sure you haven't, Justin, but Stu, I don't know if you ever played like Metal Gear Solid or anything.
I've not.
Okay. The opening scene on the ship where he's like sneaking up there and everything totally reminded me of like one of the openings of a Metal Gear game. And I loved it. That was one of my favorite scenes, the jogging, like you said, Justin. I think, the elevator scene is always a favorite for people, where people are just getting in the elevator on different floors.
Yeah.
And you see him kind of working it out in his mind. And then the line he makes, I think, is
before we get started.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to get out?
Yeah. What I love that scene. That scene is amazing, and I love that fight sequence. And they do such a good job of the fight choreography in such a small area. But
yeah,
I also love that scene has now become a great meme. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's become like a dad joke meme. Like basically, they take a shot of Captain America. I think it's just all the guys standing in the elevator, and it'll there'll be some dialogue, and it'll be Captain America kind of setting up the joke. And then I think he like leans in
to Jasper Sitwell.
Yeah. And like says the punchline of the joke, and then the next frame of the meme is them like pulling Captain America back in like the headlock and stuff. It's great. It's one of my favorite memes.
Fun fact: that meme is actually from two different movies. It's from it's Endgame in the first half of the meme, and then the last half of the meme is Winter Soldier.
That's kind of funny.
People think that it's all from Winter Soldier, but it's actually Endgame and Winter Soldier.
Oh, that's funny. I guess I never really paid that close attention to it, but I just know that I just love that somebody came up with that, and it's just fantastic.
And I'm glad you brought up the fight choreography, because this movie has some of the best hand-to-hand fight scenes in the MCU for sure.
Yeah, the fights between Winter Soldier and Captain America are awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Like I again, I forgot how good it was. Like Bucky's got like the knife in his hand, and he flips it back and forth between hands in the middle of the fights and everything. Like it's got some good fight choreography. Even the first fight scene with Bartok, I think is his name, the character on the ship. When Captain America is fighting that guy, that was some pretty good fight choreography as well. Although one of the notes I wrote was like, there's a couple of times where Bartok throws punches, and I don't think he's a super soldier. I could be wrong, but he punches and Cap blocks it with the shield. And I was like, wouldn't that like destroy his hand? If he like punched Captain America's shield? But it doesn't seem to phase him that much.
A little bit of oversight, but it's all right. It's an awesome thing too.
Okay. Yeah. He comes back at some point, doesn't he? Is it in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV show? Is that what it is? Yeah. Because I remember when he showed up on screen, I was like, oh yeah, I've seen him again. But like I couldn't remember exactly where it was, but had a feeling it was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Did you watch that, John? Did you watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
No, but I definitely am wanting to know. Is it one season?
Yeah.
So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I think you'd like it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I think the major problem with that show is that it's 6 episodes. I feel like 2 or 3 of the episodes feel like filler. That show would have made a better movie.
And it's kind of what it. I was gonna say that's kind of what it felt like. It felt like it was a movie, and then they decided to turn it into a show, and they stretched it out a little bit longer than it needed to be, perhaps.
Yeah, but if you cut out all the fluff it would make a damn good movie.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you're probably right, Justin. Like they were probably originally wanting to make it a movie, and they're like,
Mhm.
we need some Marvel stuff on our Disney Plus.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's just, 6 episodes, we can get away with that, and then it'll be a TV show.
Right.
Mhm.
Because television, especially now that theaters are struggling with COVID and everything. I mean, but even before then, like television was taking over more of the, the the ideas and concepts and stories that people wanted, because they wanted to have stories that people invested in longer than just 2 hours.
Mhm.
And audiences are eating that up, like all of the major television series we've had lately. I can definitely see them being like, why are we doing a movie when we can make this a TV show? And them saying that's going to be better in the long run.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's easier for people to sit at home and binge a TV show rather than get up and go to the movie theater. I'm the opposite. It's so hard for me to finish a TV show because I get bored. Even if I like the show, I still it's really hard for me to finish it. Like it's easier for me to watch a show week to week than to binge it, because I'll watch.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I'll watch 3 episodes of it and be like, all right, I'm tired of it. I'm
Right.
still in the first season of Superman and Lois because of that same reason. I really like the show. I watched it. I watched like 4 episodes in a row and then got tired of it. Now I'm just watching them
Right. I
one
was
by
gonna say,
one now.
you should just like every Tuesday tell yourself it's time to watch Superman and Lois or whatever
I
show you're
should.
watching, and
I
just
should.
watch it week to week rather than trying to fit them all in or marathon them.
I
No, I'm
should.
kind of the same way. Like I can only really watch one episode. Like it depends on the show, I guess, but
Mhm.
I can't really sit and watch back to back to back episodes of stuff. It's unless it's like a 30-minute sitcom or something, that.
Right.
And I obviously used to be, before I had a son and before COVID, I preferred to see all the movies I could at the theater. I just have such a better time focusing on the movie in a dark auditorium where I can't look at my phone.
Yeah.
When
I'm
I'm
the same way.
when I'm sitting at home, I need to either put my phone in a different room or something. But nowadays with my son, I'm pausing it every 5 minutes anyway, and so it's hard to get through anything. But yeah, it's
just wait till he starts crawling.
I know, yeah. I'm never gonna be. You guys are gonna end up doing the podcast, and I'll be listening to it. Yeah, because I can't. Yeah, it's hard now. Yeah, just once he starts getting on the move, it'll be even harder.
He's going to get
once he starts
everything.
Once they start crawling, it is totally different world. Like it's literally, and it happens overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Like once they start crawling, they're crawling.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're touching everything, and then they just start standing up, and so yeah, once they start moving,
yeah,
you're never gonna go back to this. Oh, we can just lay him here and
we can put him in his crib and
put a bottle in his mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
And then before they start like really talking, they'll yell out random things for no reason, just because they like the sound of their voice.
Nice.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. They won't say any words, but you'll definitely hear them saying something.
What's also funny is when
at the worst time too.
Yeah. And eventually you'll start to kind of be able to understand what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But your parents, Denise's parents, like none of them will have any idea, but you'll be able to kind of be like, well, he said
decipher it. Yeah. Anyway, this isn't the fatherhood podcast. This is the Captain America, the Winter Soldier podcast. There's no kids in this movie.
This is a dad movie, though. This is definitely a movie I would enjoy with my son once he gets a little older.
Yeah. I actually am really, I was thinking about this today, not to go off on a tangent here, but I'm so looking forward to introducing my son to all sorts of different movies, the Marvel movies,
Yes.
the Star Wars movies, just a whole bunch, like even DC like animated movies,
Mhm.
just a whole bunch of different things. I'm really looking forward to introducing him to. My parents didn't really do that. I was thinking about it today about how like movies were just not really important to them, and for whatever reason they were to me, and they never. I never had that experience where, my dad or my mom were never like, oh, you've got to watch this movie, and like sat me down and showed me the movie. And that's why I saw the Star Wars movies out of order and everything originally. And anytime we really went to the movie theater, it was because like I really wanted to go see the movie.
Mhm.
It wasn't it wasn't like, I don't know. It was just it's just funny how how much of a different experience I had versus what I'm hoping to have with my son.
Yeah, I had a similar experience, but it's not quite the same because my mom, she loves movies, but she's not necessarily a movie theater person.
Mm-hmm.
I could count the times on one hand I went to the movie theater as a kid. Um, and even though she loves movies, she never really like sat me down and showed me a movie. I just kind of happened to be watching what she was watching. Like
Right.
I watched Jurassic Park for the first time with her,
Right.
because that is her favorite movie of all time. She watches it at least twice a month.
Nice.
Yeah. And she'll watch any of them, even the worst ones.
Even Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, Fallen Kingdom. Like she doesn't care. And that's how I was with the original Stephen King's It. I watched that because of my mom because she's
nice.
a big Stephen King fan.
That's awesome.
So I had a similar experience to you, but not quite because my mom did like movies a little bit more than
Yeah.
your.
And my parents watch movies, and like that's how I did see some movies because they'd be watching them, and then I would just watch them with them. But it wasn't. It was never like, oh, you got to watch this movie. It was just they had it on or something, and that's just that type of thing.
Yeah, but I'm definitely sitting my son down and showing him the Marvel universe.
For sure. Yeah, like it'll
you're,
be a lot of
you're
fun.
gonna watch this, and you're gonna like it. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear any lip from you, sir.
After
Iron
Iron
watch
Man,
the Winter
like,
Soldier, and you're gonna love it, and you're gonna give it a 5 out of 5,
or you're grounded.
or you're grounded.
I just imagine like after watching Iron Man, and he's like, "How many of these movies do we have?" And you're like, "Well," and by that point, it'll be like, "Well, there's like 35 more to go." Be like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, the kids make fun of me for watching these.
Well, those you don't want to be friends with those.
But
kids.
you need new friends.
Yeah, like Luke does not like Star Wars.
Oh my gosh.
I
Does that
know.
hurt your heart? Like, does it just?
I'm like, Luke, you were named after Luke Skywalker. How can you not like these movies?
That's a shame, man.
I'm sorry.
Maybe he'll come around.
Yeah, I've been telling him like lately. I've been like, we at least need to sit down and watch the Luke Skywalker movies again. Because
Yeah.
how can you not like them?
Right. That'll be really sad. Like if I sit Oliver down and show him Jurassic Park, and he's like, "This movie's dumb." I'll be like, "Get out!"
Oh yeah,
they look like toys.
Put in Fallen Kingdom again.
No.
The CGI is so much
at that
better.
point, you just need to take them back and trade them in.
Right, exactly. I'm sorry, this one's defective.
Let's try again.
So anyway, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, great movie. One of my I love the chase scene with Nick Fury.
Yes.
And
yes.
It's even before the Winter Soldier shows up, just when the cops, those fake cops, I guess, are chasing him in that SUV and everything like that. It's some really good cinematography in that, and also it's just
shot in Cleveland.
Oh wow, nice.
Yep. Superior Avenue downtown.
And just very, I don't know. Did we talk? I guess you did say the screening was in Cleveland, but did you talk about how the mall sequence was shot in Cleveland?
Oh yeah,
I know you did in the first recording that we ended up having to get rid of, but
yeah, the mall sequence with Cap and Black Widow, that was shot in Tower City Mall downtown, like right in the heart of, like right in the middle of Cleveland. In that same mall, the exterior of that mall is in Avengers 2012 in the Loki scene in Germany
Very
when
cool.
Cap and Iron Man meet for the first time.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm gonna go back and rewatch that scene just to, I've never been to that mall, but just to see it, I guess, again, because it looked like Germany. I don't know. I've never been to Germany either. What do I know? But
the Tower City is it's more than just the mall. Like there's like office buildings in the
right.
upper floors, but in the lower floors, there's the mall part and
Oh, okay.
we call it the Rapid, but I guess it would be kind of like Cleveland's version of the subway.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot going on in that building.
Nice. I gotcha. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nick Fury has a pretty sweet SUV with all the
Yes.
that apparently that car could fly, but its flight systems were offline after the beating it took.
Yeah,
Which would have been kind of.
I didn't notice he said that until like maybe the third or fourth time I watched the movie. I was like, that would have been nice to see, but I'm kind of glad that they didn't do that because that would have made the movie not feel grounded if you just saw this flying SUV.
Yeah, SUV, yeah, exactly. Yep. But
where
I do like that.
We don't need roads.
Right. Doc Brown shows up. But I do like the that like machine gun thing he has, and how he like tells it to wait, tells the car to wait to bring it out until the window's at 1%.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's pretty awesome. That whole scene is just so well done and exciting. It's just that's kind of an edge of your seat scene too. And then when the Winter Soldier does show up, that was, I think that's your first look at the Winter Soldier in that movie, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's like when he first shows up. Yeah, which is pretty awesome. Great introduction.
Was there one more time he shows up before that?
I don't think so. I think that is the first time, and then the next time he shows up is when Nick Fury is at Cap's apartment and shoots Nick Fury, and Captain America chases him down.
Yeah,
which is another great scene. And that's the scene where Captain America pulls a Juggernaut and just starts running through. I mean, he's running through doors, but like he's knocking those doors out with the shield.
Right.
And it reminded me of that scene from X-Men 3 with Juggernaut running after Kitty Pryde.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I do like the movie, but since I had only seen it once, and like you said, Justin, all the movies that have come out since then, I felt like a lot of what I was seeing, even though it had been done first, was stuff that I kind of felt like, I've already seen this stuff before.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the groundedness of it. It was cool. But at the same time, I felt a little underwhelmed with, and I would say the action, but there was constantly action. Like the whole like last third of the movie is almost like the Man of Steel fight.
Right.
Like it's just constant fighting. So it wasn't the lack thereof. It's just, to me, I just felt like I was seeing, and like I said, this was done first, but stuff that I've already seen now that other movies since this have gone and continued to do.
Yeah.
And, I definitely had that feeling all throughout the movie.
Yeah, I think you might feel that way because this is still kind of early in the MCU,
right?
And we've seen so many different things, and we've seen so much spectacle within the MCU that even though this is a great movie, it's still not as big as something like Civil War or
Infinity War.
Yeah. So I could see how you could feel like that.
Mm-hmm. And like I said too, this being my second time seeing it, maybe like, so I don't really have any, I mean, we're saying, it's an 8-year-old movie now, and I don't really have any nostalgia for it.
Right.
I am trying to remember, there have been several different Cap suits now, and is this the one, Justin, that is the one mode when he gets into the suit at the end. Was that the original suit from First Avenger?
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Technically,
Okay.
it is, but it's really not.
Right, that's
because
what I was thinking.
There's an additional stripe in the middle.
Right.
Oh, really?
In this one, whereas in
So they just kind of updated it a little bit.
whereas
but
in the
it's supposed to be the original.
yeah, it's supposed to be the
Yeah.
original suit, but there's an extra stripe in this movie.
Right.
In the first Avenger, there's only 2 stripes. This one has 3.
I remember actually loving the fact that they brought that suit back because
Me too.
I don't like it anymore. It's especially since we've seen so many other better Captain America suits, but I liked the Avengers suit when it first came out. Like when in 2012 when that movie came out, I remember thinking, "Oh, they made him look like the classic kind of Captain America," and I thought they did a pretty decent job with it, and I liked it. I liked how bright it was and everything. And then I still don't know if I would call it trash, but just compared to like the suit from Endgame, yeah, it's not very good.
Every other suit is better than that one. He looks like he's wearing pajamas, and I hate it.
Yeah,
I'm trying to look now and see.
Remember what it is?
No, save yourself. Don't
in
don't
the
look at that.
well, when this movie came out, and he wasn't wearing that suit anymore, but he also wasn't really wearing, in my opinion, a Captain America suit. He had the Winter Soldier suit, which is just dark blue with the stripes across the chest with the star in the middle.
I
and it was
love
silver.
that suit.
It's
You still see the stripes, but it's very muted. And I didn't even notice this until maybe the second or third time I watched it. There are dark red stripes on the side.
Oh, I've never noticed that.
Yeah, if you look really, really closely, it still has some red in there. It's just really muted. It's not even red. It's like burgundy.
Yeah, I'm
interesting.
looking now and I see I think what you're talking about, because this is the one that has the so in First Avenger he's got like gray straps, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it looks like in this one the First Avenger suit he puts back on has more like blue with some gray, but it's definitely more blue. It's got the 3 stripes. And I think looking at these pictures, this is probably my favorite Captain America suit in the movies.
It's one of my favorites. Yeah. I think my favorite one is Civil War. Because a lot of people say Endgame because of the scales. And I was never really a big fan of the scales. I do like how they incorporated it into Infinity War and Endgame, how it's kind of Under Armour, and that's why it looks like that. But I was never really a huge fan of the scales look because it didn't really. I'm big on practicality, and it didn't really have a purpose until it got to live action.
Right. Okay.
I was not a huge fan of this suit in this movie, the Winter Soldier. The suit he wears for the majority of the movie, what I'll call the Winter Soldier suit. Yeah, the blue and silver suit. And it was just because it didn't feel like Captain America to me. I like it. I think it's cool, and it works for this movie. It's very spy kind of.
It's a neat suit.
It's stealthy.
Yeah, it's it's stealthy.
So when Captain America,
right? And so when I saw this movie for the first time, and at the end of the film when he goes to the Smithsonian and steals back his original costume, I love that. I thought it was so cool, and seeing him again in the classic First Avenger, even though we now know that it's a little different, but the First Avenger costume, that was so cool to me, and I loved I love that they brought it back, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the minority because a lot of people don't like the First Avenger suit.
Really?
Yeah.
I think they did a really, I thought they did a really good job because Captain America's costume in the comics is kind of hokey.
Absolutely.
It's how he looks in the First Avenger when he's on stage. He's got like the little wings coming off.
He's doing the war bond propaganda.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So I thought they did a really fantastic job taking that costume and bringing it to life in in the real world, basically.
I agree.
Yeah.
Especially set in during the during World War II in the 40s and stuff.
Like they make, it's like they actually make it a helmet.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like they were pretty creative with a lot of what they did. Yeah. The straps are actually,
Buckles.
they have like,
right.
There's
actually like,
you can hold clips in them.
Yeah.
It's like, it's very tactical. Yeah, exactly. But they also made it look like the Captain America suit. So yeah.
Right. Exactly. Neat. And they did put like the wings on the side of the helmet and stuff.
Right.
And I think they're a little
bit more.
It's
like an emblem instead
of sticking out. Yeah.
Fantastic.
They made it look cool instead of ridiculous.
Right. And then they went back to ridiculous, I guess, for the Avengers, and then they went back to cool.
Whose idea was that? Like
Joss Whedon's, I assume.
That suit doesn't even look like it would protect him in any way. Like
that's true. It doesn't look like any sort of armor. No. Yeah, that's true. My favorite suit out of all the Captain America suits, I think, is in Endgame because I do love the scales, and so they took it even further, I think, in comic book accuracy, but also retaining that functionality and real world kind of. Yeah, I think it's perfect. At first, I think when the first Avenger came out, I don't think I loved the chin strap part of the helmet, but now I do. I think it works really well, and it again just looks very functional and awesome.
Yeah, I love the chin strap because they took the chin strap from the ultimate look of Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things that bothered me, among many things that bothered me about the suit from Avengers 2012, was that they got rid of the chin strap and it looked awkward.
It does. I will agree with that. Like the helmet connecting to it was like a neck piece that connected to the helmet to the body part of the suit. Never quite worked.
What? It reminded me of Daredevil.
Okay, yeah. The Netflix Daredevil?
No, Ben Affleck Daredevil.
Oh, Ben Affleck's Daredevil.
Yeah.
Well, his helmet never really connected either. He had like his leather like coat, I guess, had like almost like a
turtleneck.
Not quite a turtleneck, but yeah, it had like a neck strap.
Yeah, but like the way
went up his neck a little bit.
Yeah, the way his chin like kind of protruded out of the mask, it was weird. It made his chin look fat.
That's funny. But the Winter Soldier costume is very cool. It's just it doesn't really make me think of Captain America, but it is. I mean, it works really well for this movie though, especially like that opening scene with the ship, the Lumerian Star, where he's having to be stealthy and stuff. Like you don't want a bright colored suit when you're doing a mission like that, probably. So the Winter Soldier suit
you'll
works
stick out
well.
like a sore thumb.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
What do you think about Falcon's costume when you first saw Falcon, like with his, the wings and everything?
I mean, I liked how the wings look, but it's not really a Falcon costume.
Right.
It's just
it doesn't look anything like his costume from the comics, obviously.
Yeah.
But it does look cool.
He's just wearing a t-shirt and trousers throughout the movie.
That's true. They didn't really try very hard for him, at least not in this movie.
No.
Once he kind of becomes, because he joins the team at the end of Age of Ultron, and once he kind of becomes an Avenger, they kind of give him a little bit more of a costume. But
yeah.
In this movie,
if that's because we were talking about how grounded it is. Maybe they were like, we really just want to keep this grounded as much as possible. So how can we make someone that has these flexible flying wings developed by the government believable? And also,
there's really no reason for him to have a costume in this movie yet, because like you said, they stole the wings, but they didn't, there was nothing about like, you also have to wear this costume with the wings. So it definitely made sense the way he looked in the movie.
Yeah. And I mean, I've never really been crazy about his look in any of the movies. I don't think it looks bad. It's just, I don't know. He's always looked regular to me. The like his best look, in my opinion, is probably in Falcon and the Winter Soldier when he has his winged. I don't want to spoil it for John. I don't know if you
right
seen it, but when
he has final
his
episodes
in the final episode, I think that's his best look. Because when that series starts out, I could see they were trying to go a little bit more comic book accurate, but he has these sleeves that kind of cut off like in the middle of his forearm, and it looks awkward. I don't like that. If they had got rid of that,
Yeah.
that suit would have looked fire. But
Right.
because they're not short sleeve, but they're not long sleeve. It's just mid sleeve. It's awkward. I don't like
Right, right, right.
I have a couple shirts like
I'm sorry.
that. I think
Don't
they're
wear
like,
them around Stu.
I don't have them anymore, but
I mean, I when I have long sleeve shirts, I tend to push my sleeves up like that, but I
Right.
like the ruffled look. I don't want a
Yeah,
shirt
three-quarter
that's
sleeve,
cut like
yeah.
that.
I think they were originally like done like that with like baseball shirts back in the day.
Mhm.
Yeah, like
That
if you
makes
buy a
sense.
baseball T-shirt, they are like 3/4 sleeves or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, that makes sense though.
Yeah. These shirts that I had that I was talking about, I got those like 10 years ago. So they're gone.
What did you guys think about Arnhem Zola and his return and everything with that whole sequence in the kind of the bunker?
Yeah, I liked it. I definitely liked the callback in that scene to the first Avenger. But I really thought that was a cool way to kind of bring back Hydra.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that the whole like plan to eliminate potential threats to Shield/Hydra was brilliant, because not only does it tie into the political and ethical themes um of fear versus security, but it also changed the MCU forever. Like everything after this movie is different because of the events in this movie. Like making Shield the bad guys changes everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I've never watched the TV show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I wondered how the show was affected by the events of this movie. Do you know? Did you ever watch that show?
I watched maybe 4 or 5 episodes. It was cool, but not enough for me to want to finish it. I mean,
Right.
I know they do address it in the show. They address a lot of things in the movies in the show.
Gotcha.
But it's kind of weird because you have to watch certain episodes, then watch a movie, then go back and watch some more episodes, even though those episodes are in the same season. So like you have to watch a movie in between episode 6 and 7. And
Right.
it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, that was honestly my concern about when Disney Plus came out and they announced that they were going to have all these Marvel TV shows. I was like, man, it's going to be hard to keep up with what happens on the shows and what happens in the movies. And I didn't think, but the way they've done it so far has worked out really well, and I'm loving it.
Because the shows now are basically movies,
mini movies,
that they split up into 6 to 6
or not
to
mini
10
movies.
episodes.
I guess they're 6-hour, 8-hour movies, but
yeah.
So
I think they figured out a formula for the TV shows. I think it's working pretty well.
Yeah.
My only concern is that I think they're coming out a little bit too frequently.
Well, I'm just glad they didn't all come out at the same time, because you know it'd been really hard to watch WandaVision and Loki and Captain America: The Winter Soldier, like to keep up with all those if they were all coming out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, WandaVision on Monday and Loki on Tuesday, and you know it would just been too. So I'm glad they've kind of spaced them out a little bit at least.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love that scene too with Arnhem Zola, and I was trying to just look it up because I can't remember. Arnhem Zola turned into somebody in the comics, and I think the whole him being in a computer was kind of a homage to that a little bit. But I forget what his character's name was. But I loved how he like had transferred his consciousness into the computer, and even though it was all this real old technology in that bunker and everything, he was still kind of knew everything that was going on. And I love this, you know, at one point he says like, I've been stalling, you know, because he's just waiting for them to do the strike on the bunker and everything.
I'm glad you brought that up. There's a action movies, spy movies, superhero movies. They all have this trope where the villain is giving you explaining his evil plan,
Right.
and they do it in Age of Ultron too, but I think it works better here. Um, he's explaining his plan to stall, and the plan is already in motion. It's not like he's explaining it and then doing it. It's already happening. So
Right.
for the rest of the movie, it's like a race against time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they take that trope and they make it effective and practical.
Yeah, definitely.
I was gonna say it kind of reminded me. I don't want to go into it too much in case people haven't seen it, but the Watchmen, how we just did the Watchmen episode.
Yes.
And we were
That's the
talking
first
about
thing I
that.
thought of when I saw that
same with
scene the
me.
last time. Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's like different because it's not the same reason or concept, but in a way, it definitely had a It was like both times they were explaining had like a catch to it.
Right. Yeah. What did you guys think about Robert Redford as Alexander Pierce?
I loved him.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite characters in the movie. He has, I don't really know what to call it. I guess he has like a calm arrogance to him,
Mm-hmm.
because he's very, he speaks with a lot of confidence, but he doesn't yell.
Right.
And he's not as much of a smart ass as Nick Fury is. But you can kind of you can see why they're friends and why they're comrades.
Right.
Early on in the movie, because they have similar personalities, but Nick Fury is way more sarcastic than Alexander Pierce is.
Yeah. I love the fact that they got Robert Redford to be in this movie.
Yes.
And he does a fantastic job. And you're right, he's a very different type of kind of villain. He's not like Red Skull, for example, who, was very big and this is my evil master.
A lot of bravado.
Yeah. Right. And he honestly, Alexander Pierce actually thinks he's doing good. He says,
yes.
At one point, I think he says, like, to help 7 billion people, I just have to sacrifice 20 million. And to him, it's like it's an acceptable loss in order to gain peace for the world.
Yeah.
And so
once again, it's kind of Watchman-y.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I'm watching the scene with the helicarrier right now. The cap suit is a lot brighter in this movie than it is in the first Avenger.
Yeah, it is. And I like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like you were saying, kind of the pajamas
of Avengers.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite moment, real quick before we move on, with Alexander Pierce is when Cap and Black Widow have broken back into SHIELD headquarters, and Cap gets over the loudspeaker and is talking to the whole base,
Yeah.
And he says, SHIELD has been compromised. It's now basically Hydra, led by Alexander Pierce, and the council that has been with Alexander Pierce, they all look at him, and he just makes a face like, what can you do?
And I think that's why I like him, because he just has that personality throughout the whole movie. Like, even when he has to kill Rosalita because she saw the Winter Soldier,
right.
he's like, crap.
I really wish you would not.
Yeah. I didn't really get why he had to kill her. Like, did she know? How did she know who he was? And isn't it kind of just like his business anyway?
She would have been a loose end. There's no telling whether she knew or not. And to tie that loose end, the easiest way is to just kill her.
Yeah.
So, she could have not known. She could have just went home and not said anything. But there's no guarantee that she wasn't going to say it.
Right. Well, she also looked kind of scared. Like, I think she maybe.
I mean, the Winter Soldier
she
does
recognized.
look scary.
Yeah. Well, that too. But maybe I wonder if this is not something we saw, but I wonder if some of that Nick Fury car chase scene had been kind of on the news, and maybe there was a shot of the Winter Soldier or something. So maybe she kind of recognized him from that. But she looked very scared, and it looked like she was going to leave there and go to the authorities or something.
Yeah.
And so he was like, can't have that.
Yeah. I think it was cool talking about him again, about how it kind of showed how much technology, Hydra actually had.
Mm-hmm.
Like for him to be able to put his consciousness inside a computer, just kind of reiterated how smart of a scientist he was and all that stuff too.
Yeah, and that was all because of him, because he was a prisoner of war, and then after the Allies won the war, they were like, you want to come work with us? And he was like, yeah, but I got my own agenda.
Right.
So he implemented a lot of what Shield became, which I again I thought it was brilliant. Just that Shield started off pure with the right intentions, but very soon it became
right. The enemy
corrupted.
infiltrated and slowly just poisoned from the inside.
Yeah, until it got to the point of no return, where Cap had to say it all goes. Shield, Hydra, it all goes. Like you can't. There's no saving it now.
Right, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Little trivia, you probably noticed one of the council members, who deal with Alexander Pierce.
Yeah.
One of them you probably do recognize from The Dark Knight. There's that he played Lau in The Dark Knight. Yes. He's one of the members. But then the woman, that's the actress's name is Jenny Agutter, I think, and I could be pronouncing the last name wrong. But anyway, I know her primarily from An American Werewolf in London. She was like the main woman love interest nurse from American Werewolf in London.
I've never seen that.
Really? That
really.
is a great, weird, dark comedy horror film that you should watch.
I saw it for the first time like maybe 7 or 8 years ago, because I was like, it was like Halloween time, and I was like, what's a classic Halloween movie where I know the title but I've never seen? And it was one of the last ones. I still have a few that I haven't seen, but it was like definitely where I was having to scrape through the bottom to find movies, and American Werewolf in London was the one. And I remember thinking how much I enjoyed it, even though it was kind of like you said, it was kind of weird. And it's from the 80s, I think, or is it even the late 70s?
It's like 1981 or something like that. Yeah, it's pretty almost late 70s kind of.
Yeah. And I remember just thinking that I actually liked that movie. So yeah, I'll have to rewatch it, but
you should. I really like it. I saw it in high school because American Werewolf in Paris came out when I was in high school. And I really wanted to see that movie, which is not good, by the way. And I guess maybe realized it was a sequel. And so then I had to go see the original first. And it's I really like the American Werewolf in London. I think it's pretty good. Classic kind of. It's darkly humorous, but it also is still kind of very much a horror film at the same time.
Right.
Definitely check it out, Stu, if you get a chance. Although you say you're not much of a slasher guy, but are you a horror fan? Like, do you like other horror films?
I do like other horror films. I'm more of a haunted house ghost story type person.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm very picky with my horror, and so it has to be really good for me to like. I don't like kind of really seek out horror films, but if I hear that one is really good, then I'll watch it.
Same.
And
I used to not like horror movies because a lot of them just aren't good.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, so I but the weird thing is that with horror, bad horror movies are more enjoyable than bad anything else.
I can see that.
So I understand why horror movies are so popular amongst movie buffs. For me, like just like you said, I'm very, very picky about my horror movies. I'm one of few people that actually want to be scared when I watch a horror movie, because if I'm not afraid, what's the point?
Right, sure.
Or at least creeped out. You don't
at least
necessarily have to be
creeped out.
afraid, but just something that
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some other people from other movies make a return. We got Gary Shandling as Senator Stern.
That's right.
He makes a return.
Yeah.
He has a very funny scene in the movie. Peggy Carter.
Sitwell's from previous movie. He was also in they did a Marvel one shot with him called The Consultant, which I really liked. I'm kind of bummed that they don't really do that anymore. They used to, when the Blu-rays came out, there was always a little short film that was connected to the other movies a little bit in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And The Consultant was really good, and he was in that.
Yeah. Haley Atwell returns as Peggy Carter.
That's right.
She has a very touching scene.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what'd you guys think about Agent 13? Sharon, his neighbor, who turns out to be a SHIELD agent.
Right. Is she's not the one in Civil War, is she?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She is?
You find out she's Peggy's niece or granddaughter or something like that.
She's not, they don't even say Sharon in this movie, I think. Do they?
I thought they did, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think her name is
she might just be
Kate
Agent 13 in this movie, yeah.
Well, I think her alias is Kate, and then
gotcha.
When they reveal that she's an agent, she's Agent 13. I don't think her name is Sharon. They name her Sharon until Civil War.
Anyway, I thought she was good. I like it.
She was okay.
She was fine. I don't think that I like that they didn't force because I know they kiss in Civil War, but they didn't force any sort of romance in this movie with that. I do like all the jokes with Black Widow and Cap about how, she's like, if you ask so-and-so out, with, I forget what the department is, she'd probably say yes. He's like, that's why I don't ask.
Or when they throw Sitwell off of the roof.
That one's actually my favorite because she's like, what about I think her name's Lillian. What about Lillian? He's like, she the one with the lip piercing? With the piercing? He's like, I'm not ready for that.
He's like, yeah, I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, that one's great.
That's one thing that I really like about this movie is the humor. There's just enough humor in it for it to be, recognizably Marvel.
Yeah.
But they're not beating you over the head with jokes like Marvel can do sometimes. There's just enough to make you chuckle, but you're still emotionally invested.
Right, and it's not like a lot of times when DC tries it, where you're just like, that wasn't
enough already.
Was that even funny? No, it wasn't.
we talked about that with Aquaman.
Yeah,
they do that quite a bit in Aquaman.
It's something that just carried over from previous DC movies too. Like the original Justice League is pretty bad about it.
Well, yeah, the part of that is because they brought in Joss Whedon to try to lighten it up a bit. Another thing about Sitwell in that scene, after they throw him off the building, and he starts spilling the beans, he talks about how, I guess it's the Zola program or something.
Oh yeah, Zola's
algorithm was targeting certain people, and he mentioned Stephen Strange, which I know that at the time they did that as just a little Easter egg for Marvel fans,
right?
But I wondered if I was I guess that doesn't make sense now because he hadn't become Doctor Strange yet. However, Sitwell does talk about how it predicts the future.
Basically. Yeah, it's potential threats, and I think Doctor Strange was a potential. Stephen, he wasn't Doctor Strange yet, but he was, but
he wasn't the Sorcerer
Supreme yet,
right?
But I think Stephen Strange was a potential threat because of how smart and how talented he was.
Yeah.
He wasn't just your average doctor. He was best of the best. So that
it's like Bruce Banner and how smart he was with exactly. Yeah. That's how I kind of was thinking too. They didn't. It's not like they knew he was going to be the Sorcerer Supreme. It was just he was just a genius in his field.
Right. His abilities, his potential to become an extreme threat to their organization was very likely compared to, other people that it was reading. And you would assume that, it predicted that if he had a choice to go down this path, he's probably going to do this based on the past choices he's made in the past. He's more likely to go this route, which is threatening to us.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like a joke that they had to retcon like they did with which is, I love it in Ragnarok. Remember when, because in the first Thor movie, you see the Infinity Gauntlet in Odin's, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Trophy room.
And so in Ragnarok, Hela shows up and she's like, fake.
Fake.
Like they didn't have to retcon this type of thing. So, because I think it could still work within the context of the movie and everything. So,
yeah, I agree. What did you guys think of the score?
So I'm glad you brought that up. Because I did want to talk about this. The Henry Jackman did the score, and I remember the first time I saw the movie thinking that the music was not very memorable. I even have listened to the soundtrack a couple of times and been like, this is just not as good as, like, it just doesn't have any memorable music to it. But watching it again today, I was like, man, this score is really good.
It's really good. It's really good.
It works with the movie so well, and it actually does. Like, hearing a couple of the themes, I was like, oh yeah, I was like, there are some pretty good themes and everything in the movie.
Yeah. It definitely in my opinion, it's one of the more underrated scores in the MCU. It definitely has a few memorable motifs.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels very government.
Very political thrillerish.
Yeah, very political thrillerish.
Exactly.
And I think that tremendously enhances the grounded tone of the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoy this score. Even though it's not one of my favorites, it's definitely underrated.
I agree. And it really serves the movie very well, which is what a score should do, and
yes, absolutely.
And so even though, especially after seeing it like the first time, there's not like any themes or anything I could hum or anything, like it fit the movie perfectly. So I
agree.
Watching it again tonight, I just was like, man, this music is really good in this scene. I just forgot how, like, it's way better than I remember it.
Yeah.
So I think the score is actually really, really, really good. John agrees.
For the
well, I was gonna say, like, I don't remember any memorable tunes or anything, but I do remember especially scenes with the Winter Soldier, like, attacking and stuff. Just almost having, I mentioned the Terminator earlier, and it just had almost like that mechanical, work and metal sound to it. And there was one scene where I think he was Black Widow, he was like targeting, and like the camera, he like kind of pops up in a corner and is like already aiming, and it's going to be like the moment where he gets her. And the sounds, like,
I know exactly what sound you're thinking of.
It was very just
menacing,
suspenseful, like, oh gosh, like Frozen moment. Like,
I know exactly what sound you're talking about. I don't know what it is, but
it's like a high pitched, just, like, danger sound.
It almost sounds like a distorted siren.
Yeah, it's almost like the Spielberg shot, but in sound.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Amazing.
What was I getting ready to say? Oh, I think that the Captain America, the first Avenger, has more memorable motifs.
Yeah,
but I think in conjunction with the narrative and the tone, this probably works. This score probably works better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. I mean, the score worked really well in First Avenger. It felt very World War II-esque, and it does have that Captain America kind of, theme. And I could, like, that one I can kind of hear in my head and everything, but but this one just worked very well for the movie, and it does have that political kind of intriguing sound to it and everything. It's really very well done.
Yeah, I agree.
Another thing that I like before we move on to the ratings is that, they don't totally wrap up the Bucky storyline. Like, this doesn't end with him being like, I remember everything, and, hugging Captain America and them becoming friends. Like, he's not quite back to normal at the end of the movie. He has like a little moment of kind of a conscience, but he doesn't remember everything, and he runs off, and there's a little post-credit scene where he's at the Smithsonian, looking at the exhibit and stuff. So I like that it was kind of left, that part of the movie was left a little unresolved, which was kind of cool. It gave you something to look forward to.
And I love the way they handle Winter Soldier throughout the MCU because they continue to tell his story throughout other movies. They don't quite even in Civil War, it's not quite wrapped up. They don't really wrap up his story until the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Right.
And I like that because in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we really get to see how all of these things have really affected him. And has affected his psyche to the point where it's really hard for him to function and have a normal life because he's done all these terrible things. And even after he regained his consciousness, he went through all that stuff in Civil War and was framed for all these terrible things that he didn't even do.
Right.
So yeah, I really like how they handle his arc throughout the MCU.
Yeah, absolutely. I might have to go watch Civil War again now. Just
I was thinking I might pop it on before.
Yeah, I might. Maybe I'll fall asleep to it tonight or something. Well, unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about, you want to go into a rating?
Yeah.
Sure. I'll start us off here. I looked it up on Letterboxd and I had given it 4 stars on Letterboxd, but I actually think with rewatching it and especially talking with you guys about it, I got to bump it up. I think it's a 4.5 star movie for me. It's definitely one of the best Marvel movies. I don't know if it quite will make it into my top 5 still, but it is definitely, one of the better Marvel movies for sure.
All right. I'll
or I guess I should give it 4.5 Winter Soldier arms.
Winter Soldier arms. Okay. I like this movie, but it's definitely, like I said, I was not getting the impressions that I typically get from a Marvel movie, and I think that's because I hadn't seen it since it came out, and it's one of the earlier films.
Right.
I am going to give it. I'm going to get so much reaction. I'm going to give it 3.5 out of 4 first Avenger outfits.
My heart.
3.5 out of 4 or 3.5 out of 5?
Excuse me, 5. 3.5 out of 5.
Yes.
3.5 out of 5 first Avenger outfits.
Okay. I had a feeling you were kind of leaning that way just because of how you talked. I mean, and I can understand that too. If you've seen the Civil War and Avengers Infinity War and Endgame and stuff more than you have seen this movie, I guess I can kind of understand how it feels like, you had seen some of this stuff done already, kind of, in terms of, I guess, action and whatnot. But yeah, it's too bad you had not watched it since you'd seen it in the theater,
Yeah, I wonder how much different, if I would have a different rating at that point.
I don't know.
And like I said, 3.5, 3.5 is.
It's not bad. It's not a bad score. Right.
Right. Usually my average review for a Marvel superhero movie is 4 out of 5. And so it's a little bit under, but 4 out of 5 to me is very enjoyable. And 3.5 is enjoyable.
Yeah. So I really love this movie. Obviously it's number 2 on my MCU ranking, and to piggyback on what you said, John, it does not it doesn't have the same feeling as other Marvel movies, and I think that's what makes me like it so much, because it is an anti-Marvel movie, even though it has some of the same it has some it definitely has that Marvel magic to it, but because they take it so seriously, I think that's why I love this movie so much. And it's very well written. The characters are very well developed, especially Cap and Nick Fury. Because Cap essentially changes Nick Fury's mind. And that's very hard
to do. Yeah.
uh the tone was fantastic because it was so grounded. It's very well paced. Like, like you said, there's action throughout, and then when you get to the final act, the action is just nonstop. There are very little flaws in this movie, so I'm gonna have to give it a 5 out of 5 Captain America shields.
Nice.
That's cool. That's love to hear that, it's up there for when you have like you can cut this out. I was just gonna say, like, 5-star movies are always
hard to come by.
Yeah, and well, not just that, but like when you have them, it's like that's special.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for this is honestly one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. Obviously, because I gave it a 5 out of 5. But I think, we always say, oh, Infinity War, No Way Home, Endgame. But like, this movie is so good, and it doesn't rely on anything else but itself, and it's
Very true.
so good. And I love movies like that. The Dark Knight, Logan, they it is as convoluted as.
I still have not seen Logan.
Man, oh my God, you have to see Logan. Bro, we got to talk about that. Oh my God, you're gonna love it.
Oh, I believe it. I'm stoked to see. I always forget that it's even, like, I remember when it first came out, I was like, I really want to see this. Never got around to it. And then now especially since I haven't seen it, I kind of forget it even exists.
One of 2 superhero movies that make me cry. Yeah.
What's the other one?
The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because of a certain scene, because of the end.
Yeah.
With Alfred. Yeah.
Right.
Like Michael Caine's acting in that one scene. I mean, in that whole movie.
Yeah.
But in that scene, like, that's one of the best scenes he's ever done. Right. And that really hit my heart. But yeah, movies like The Dark Knight, Logan, this movie, Winter Soldier, they're so good, and they're self-sufficient. They're independent. They stand on their own. They don't rely on the rest of the universe, even though the X-Men universe is incredibly convoluted and confusing. Yeah. Logan just kind of takes place in its own world and does its own thing. And even though the Winter Soldier is part of the greater MCU, it still, does its own thing and doesn't rely on anything else, and it still manages to be a fantastic, cohesive film.
Right. Well, that's what I was gonna say. You meant, like, the way you worded it is probably better than how I'm gonna say it, but, like, we have seen now, we get so wrapped up, like, the internet right now is so preoccupied with what cameos we're gonna see in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and the multiverse and the Flash, which I'm very excited about. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But after Infinity War and Endgame and all this stuff, we have kind of forgotten how good a standalone superhero movie can be that doesn't rely on cameos and the connected universe. I mean, this movie is connected to the greater Marvel universe, but it is a really good standalone superhero movie.
And right, for sure. It's almost as if for the fans, the story comes second to.
That's how it feels right now, for sure. Yeah,
and the spectacle.
Yep.
And it is. I understand it. I get it, but it's a little disheartening because I really don't want to see a trend, even though it's inevitable. I don't want to see a trend of just cameo superhero movies.
Right.
Write a good story.
Right.
First.
That's exactly, like, if Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness comes out and we see a whole bunch of different characters from other movies, that's great. But if the story sucks, it's not going to save it.
No.
So, Yeah.
It actually has to be better than good, honestly, because if it's only just
I
good,
agree.
then
That's
you're
a
going to be like,
disappointment. Yep.
you're going to be like, well, it was good, and then we had to sit through so many like
Cameos.
cameos.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that makes No Way Home so good. Even though it has a few plot holes in it, that story is still fantastic.
Mhm.
And then we get awesome cameos in it.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
If they do it like that, by all means, do.
But
do
also, we had, as many cameos as there were,
that.
they still fit it to where it wasn't just people.
They were just
passing
random
by.
people. Yeah, it wasn't just random cameos popping up here
Yeah,
and there.
and
So-
I
They,
think-
they weren't really cameos. They were essential to
Right.
the
Yeah,
plot.
yeah,
They
they
were
were
characters.
They were characters in
And
the movie. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
This, I'm afraid, Mouth Madness is going to be like, oh,
Just
here's
People
Mr.
popping up.
Fantastic,
Yeah,
Right.
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 and here's Edward Norton's the Hulk. Okay,
Okay.
so I don't know. Here's a CGI Stan Lee.
By the way, I really love the Stan Lee cameo in this movie where he is the Smithsonian security guard and he's like, I am
gonna
so
get
fired.
So fired.
Yeah,
See,
that's
and I
great.
liked him like that too, because that was when his cameos were really quick.
Yeah, they were
and they
short.
weren't
Yeah.
they weren't like, and I don't mind some of the ones, like I like which one was it? Oh, I think it was Amazing Spider-Man, where he's fighting the lizard. Is that where
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
fighting
and he's
the
got the
lizard?
headphones on in the
library.
library. Yeah.
And that was one of the first cameos where you're like, okay, these are starting to get really
A
focused.
little longer. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But it was it was still funny, but yeah, I definitely liked the more subtle cameos.
Yeah, like in Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
And was it Spider-Man 2 or was it the first Spider-Man when he pulls Aunt May back? Or was it Aunt May? He pulls somebody. Really, it's really quick. You only see him for like
He doesn't even have any
Not
lines,
even-
right? And he just pulls
he
them
doesn't
out of
have
the
any
way.
lines.
Oh,
I
that's
think
right.
it's the
Yeah.
first Spider-Man.
The
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
Spider-Man,
Yeah.
yeah, he pulls somebody out of the way from some falling
Right.
debris, but you only see him for like a second.
Right.
I like those type of cameos.
And that's actually
Right.
that's how he was in Daredevil when in the Daredevil movie when Matt Murdock is a kid, Stan Lee is like about to step out into the street and the young Matt Murdock uses like his walking stick. I don't know what those are called. I'm sure there's a better name for that, but he uses it to stop him from going to the street. And Stanley kind of looks up from his paper and like looks around. And there's a bus goes by. Like there's no lines in that either. And it was just a quick little like, oh, it's Stan Lee. Yeah.
Yeah. Or in the first X-Men movie where you see him in the background.
Yeah,
and
he's
the
even
camera's
he's
on
not
the
even-
camera's on center to Kelly,
Right,
but
yeah.
he's not in focus.
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we get the end game.
I hate that cameo. I don't
So
like
do
that cameo.
Make what does he say? Make love,
Make love, not war.
no war.
Like, man. That's
Like
too
he
much.
says it at the camera, I think.
Yeah, he looks at
It's
the camera.
like, yeah, it's
Oh
like
my
breaking
God.
the
Fourth
breaking the
wall.
fourth wall.
like crazy. Oh well.
Oh, well.
We've talked about this before. I think the perfect cameo they should have done for him was a non-line cameo of him just standing at the funeral.
Yeah, that would have been great.
That
Yeah,
was
I don't
a
know why they didn't think about
tremendous
that.
missed
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yep, I agree. Well, we'd love to know what you think about Captain America the Winter Soldier. You can always comment on our website, cinemaheroes.com. You can also leave a comment on our Instagram or tweet at us. Both handles are Cinema Heroes. You can reach us on Facebook, facebook.com/SM and SM Podcast. Or if you're watching this video on YouTube, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below what you think about Captain America the Winter Soldier. I think that about wraps it up for this episode, though. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm John Pelzo.
I'm Jay Stu.
As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. You can always comment on our website, www.cinemaheroes.com. Why did I say www? I always do that. Like it's 1998.
The World Wide Web, Doc.
You can visit us on the World Wide Web at
HTTP /
Don't forget the HTTP.